Hi, Dennis here at Cappel Training and Shoeing. Are mules any different to shoe than horses? That might be a question that you've had sometime. By the way, if you like the content that we put out, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. Today we're going to shoe this mule. Mules are similar to horses, but yet different in every way. In their feet, I've already done 3 feet on this mule, and I've got 1 left to do. And just looking at the foot on the ground, it appears to have a much longer toe than the other 3 feet. Well, naturally, it hasn't been trimmed yet, but that's typically what we run onto is the quote long-toed, low-heeled syndrome. So what needs to be done to fix that? It might be surprising to you what needs to be trimmed off sometimes to achieve that. So let's pick this back foot up and look at it, clean it out. First thing we need to do is get where we can see, and we've got to have the dirt out of there first to be able to see properly. Now, that frog has got some excess on it right out there at the very front, and a little bit on the sides here. There's some excess that looks like it might trap dirt. This animal's got a nice, wide, healthy frog. I'm just trimming up the edges so that down here along the commissures of the frog, it can clean out. And if it's open, it won't trap moisture in there near as badly, so the chance of getting thrush goes way down. And that's why I clean the frog up in that center part of the foot as well. Now, I need to get rid of some excess sole. Anything that appears to be chalky is excess sole. So I'm getting rid of that as I go. And this is also going to tell me my depth, how deep I can go. That ought to get on the sides there, so I'm going to use my nippers to drag that inside of that sole out of there at the toe. Dirt. Now then, if this was a horse, you see the heels would be coming all the way back to the back where the frog and the sole meet. But a mule, the frog is slightly behind the hoof wall, so we can't use the back part to measure like we do. The only similar line that we use in mapping a mule is actually that center line at that widest part of the foot, right across here. Now that part will actually be slightly in front of where it might appear to be in a horse. You see, we've got the true apex of the frog here, and that's only about 1/2 to 3/4 behind that, where we're going to find the center of this mule's foot. And then we're going to put our breakover about 1 inch in front of the center line. And that appears to be a little bit far back right now, but that's where we're going to find center around the coffin bone in this mule's foot. Now, we'd made an observation when the foot was on the ground that we felt like there was a tremendous amount of toe compared to the amount of heel. But when you look at where the heel is, we need to bring that heel back so that we get more support towards the back of this mule's leg. So I'm going to start that nip right there, and I'm going to follow that sole line just above the sole line a little bit as I go. nail in there. I need to be careful not to nip through, but I need to get it out of there. So when I find a nail with my nippers, I just squeeze real gently, and then I pry just a little bit to get that nail out of there. Now, I'm gonna do a little bit more sole cleaning here, and okay, I've got just a little more sole that can come off right out here on the lateral toe. A little more hoof wall, I mean, so I'm gonna take that hoof wall off. There. Now we've got everything down and ready. I'm gonna hold this. I have better luck holding the animal's leg on my legs when I'm doing things than I do on that stand. A lot of people can make a stand really work for them, but I've got too many years of not using a stand. I'm more comfortable without a stand. Okay, now, you see that the hoof wall at the toe and a little bit from the white line to where the lamini and the hoof wall meet is stretched a little bit at the toe. So there is some distortion in the front of this animal's foot. So I'm gonna make that hoof wall the same thickness here on the sides and right out at the toe. You can see that this mule has a pretty wide hoof wall, a thick hoof wall, which is good, but typically, show you here, you can see that the hoof wall between my thumbnails is pretty thick. And that's typical for a mule too. They tend to have more hoof wall than a horse. However, especially in this moist condition that we're in, that they know exactly where the end of their tail is. That ain't no accident when they wipe you in the face with the end of their tail. But the softness comes in the hoof wall more so in a mule, seems like, than in a horse. I think horses tend to have a bit harder hoof wall. I don't know if it's from the makeup or what, but that's just been my observation. Now, in dry conditions, a mule's hoof is just as hard as steel, just like a horse's will get in those conditions. Okay, so I'm gonna just reset this shoe, and this shoe is made where the breakover is back from the toe. So breakover, when I put the shoe on the foot, is not right out at the toe of the shoe, it's back. It's back here at this ridge. So that's why I can set the breakover point back on that foot and then place the shoe on like this and not have it really setting too far back. Okay. So I'm feeling that shoe is wanting to set here back here on the frog. So I've got to address that frog just a little bit so it's not bearing the weight of that shoe. This shoe is almost a little bit too long for this animal. So I need to do a little bit of altering on this shoe. I need to narrow it up at the toe and then narrow the whole shoe up. I'll be right back. we go. Now it fits better. Mule hoof wall is a bit straighter up and down than the horses, and sometimes it's a little more difficult to get the nails to come out of the foot. We've got more thickness in hoof wall, and we've got a straighter hoof wall alignment. So I like high nails, but they've got to come out in order for me to finish them. That little bit of excess toe that we're seeing there on the bottom is just hoof wall. So I'll address that hoof wall from the ground side here. Keep it from chipping up. And that's what allows us to move that breakover back. So now we've got balance. You know, we've got more support behind center than we have in front, and that's what we want. Okay. Now I'll come out front. Here it is. And I'll hold that leg on his leg on my leg so you can see right here. And I'll just shorten those nails up first. Bring them out of the foot just a little bit. And then I'm gonna even them up. And then I'm gonna clean out from underneath each nail. And then take these clinchers, set that nail tight against that hoof wall. I don't want to roll that clinch. I want it to just snap over next to the foot. Let's back him up there a little bit and see if those toes come in. I'm not trying to match the feet, but I wanted you to see that I basically took the same amount of heel off as I did toe, which allowed that foot to rotate back underneath his leg. So he's in real good shape there for his bone alignment, front to back and side to side. So there you go. There's a lot of similarities to shoeing a horse, but there's some little subtle differences, and I try to just do the same thing with a mule that I would a horse, and that is get the bones to align properly to give the animal the most support from the ground all the way up through the body.